talk about how do we, how do we get this virtual, this virtual interview system set up. So I guess a two-part for each one of you. One, we talked about the relationship building. What would you think from an institutional perspective, how we could build those relationships closer? And then two, more thinking about the association and the AAE as a whole. Obviously, we represent all the institutions and individual members who are out there. What can we do as an association or as a section to help you to bridge that gap as well? So,
yeah. I would say, from the universities that we have a virtual program, and there's certain, so the main schools within that for us are Virginia Tech, UCLA, and WashU and St. Louis. And so pretty much right across the country, different points. But we obviously have a lot more capacity to support other schools within that. And so I would say, the help of professors to share about, in our case, who General Mills is and what we do. People probably know us from Cheerios and some of those, but they may not know Old El Paso, Nature Valley, Yoplait. They may not know the size of the company we have. So helping to educate students on that, understanding and educating us on how the university works, what are the opportunities and what are the kind of pitfalls of some of the students, so that we can find ways to navigate around that. We've done mock interviews virtually with students, so we're more than happy to partner. That's probably more from the institutional perspective. So we want to find the right schools to partner with, and it may just be one student every 3 years that comes out of that school, but if that's the right candidate and then they work full time for us, that opens up a lot more opportunities down the road for us. Probably the AAEA, I think the opportunities there is working with institutions so the gap for us within sourcing, a lot of other companies call it procurement, purchasing, and that's part of the pitfall, is that everyone calls it something different. There's typically not a class that teaches what sourcing is. And especially a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, their sourcing department manages these complex spend categories that even if you taught procurement, you wouldn't be teaching how to buy airfare with Delta. So those are the things that if we can start partnering early on and finding ways to educate people on awareness about different career options, because I think there's a lot of people think about if you come from a rural community, you think about the landscape that you grew up in. You think about farming, inputs, grain elevators. There's a whole other supply chain and operations perspective that a lot of people don't have exposure to. So getting exposure and helping students understand those different career opportunities early on, especially like freshman year, so that they can say, okay, maybe I should start tailoring or taking different coursework as I go on, so that I'm more competitive as an internship. So that's part of the gap we see, is we have people come to us for internships, but none of their experience lines up with the other candidates that they're competing against, and so it becomes hard to find the potential in a student when none of their coursework has led them up to being an ideal fit. So that's probably where I would see the biggest opportunities.